All right, so I'm going to answer the question that I get asked, that I've been asked for years. It doesn't take a whole lot of getting to know me to know I'm a humongous horror fan. You can see it right behind me. You can see it right here. You can see it in my tattoos. You can see it in the clothes I wear. Um, the stuff I talk about on social media, Facebook for the most part. Obviously, a lot of the content I post in stories, like on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I mean, it's clear. I'm a big fan of horror. So people ask me like, what got you into horror movies and horror content, like the horror culture? So people wonder like, what was it? Like, how did you get so into that? And why are you into that? Well, I'll wrap up how I got into horror and then why I'm so indulged. I don't want to say indulged. I'm just so into it. I'm so like it's almost like my personality in a way. So this sounds weird to say, but my original introduction to the horror genre was from my mom. And as shocking as that is, because my mom is not a horror fan. My mom is a big fan of film and cinema, so you could say I would say my love for film came from both my parents. My dad is a huge Stanley Kubrick fan, so he had the privilege of showing me all the like Clockwork Orange, The Shining, uh, 2001: Space Odyssey. So my dad also really likes action movies, and so I love action movies, and so my dad's taken me to anytime there's a new comic book movie like the new Marvel or the new Batman, he's always he'll he's always taken me to go see. So how did my mom get me into horror? Which was unintentional on her part. First off, my mom always been a big fan of Alfred Hitchcock, and so she introduced me to Psycho, and then The Birds and Vertigo, and her growing up and like those films back when that genre was considered scary. Nowadays, you're hard pressed to find a horror movie that's actually scary because we've seen it all. We're desensitized to it, for better or worse. So that was she introduced me to Alfred Hitchcock just because those were great stories, and even a film like The Birds has almost like a social commentary uh backstory to it if you kind of think about it, but the film doesn't explain why the birds are attacking people. And so you kind of look at it and you kind of wonder, what did humanity do to piss off the birds? And I always, I always looked at it as I think it was, humans, mistreating nature. But that's one thing I did appreciate about that film is it doesn't answer any questions. It kind of leaves you to wonder, what's happening here. Vertigo is a movie I've been meaning to revisit. That's another great one. Another film that's really good is The Rope. So, absolutely, that's an underrated gem. So, also, my mom would watch Tales from the Crypt. So, and I think a lot of it. I just remember growing up and seeing the Crypt Keeper on TV. But that was say Twilight Zone. My mom was real big in the Twilight Zone. She even showed me the Twilight Zone movie, which is really good. And I think a lot of that just has to do with very good stories that that have just a very intriguing, if not creepy, story to it. So, um, so those are among things. I know my mom was when she was a teenager is when the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie came out. So her and her friends went to go see it because it was it had that hype of being, the new scary film. But overall, my mom has just always been a fan, and my dad too, of cinema. So I kind of grew up appreciating good film, and so as I got older, I don't know exactly how we went from that to now, but I do know probably about when I got to teen years. I remember when I was 7 years old, and I was scared as shit of the Halloween section at Walmart. All those scary masks looking at you stuff. Um, there are certain dolls that I was scared of as a kid, just because they look like Chucky. Which that's another story of how I kind of got introduced to more horror. There was a friend of my mom, her son, who was a fucking asshole, by the way, would babysit me. And him and his friends they just wanted to scare me. I think I was like 6 years old, maybe. And to them, the idea of them just scaring the shit out of a little 6-year-old was just fun to them. And they turned on, it was Child's Play 2. And I think I made some smart ass comment, and them all kind of laughed. So I think that was my way of knowing I'm just gonna have to act like this doesn't scare me. Otherwise, these kids are gonna keep tormenting me. So, I can't remember what I said, but I remember I made them laugh. I think it was just a sarcastic joke to one of the characters in the movie. It was Child's Play 2. It's funny because it's something my mom would do. My mom always has, social commentary when watching a film. So I don't know, I guess I got it from her. And then after that, it was on TV. It was Child's Play 2. I know I just said that for the third time. And then it was Freddy Krueger being played by, that I recall he was hosting. It was on some TV channel where they're showing all the scary films of that time. And it was, Robert Englund portraying himself as Freddy Krueger. And I was like, kind of like this, but I realized that if I was going to survive the night, I'm not going to let these motherfuckers. Now, obviously, I was a kid. I didn't think like that, but I didn't say that. But it's like, I'm saying that now because, goddamn, fuck those motherfuckers, man. But I think I kind of knew that if I was going to survive this night, it's just like you're just gonna have to be tough and act like this shit don't scare you. And I think deep down inside it didn't. Obviously, I later became a fan of the shit. So that might have been, and that might have transpired because when you're scared of something as a kid, and then once you get older, it's like, it's almost like you're taking your past trauma and utilizing it for entertainment. I mean, for me, it wasn't really trauma, but obviously, when you're a kid, things that scare you can ultimately traumatize your ass. So, but no, as I got older, and then I just got more into film. I remember being intrigued by the serial killer stuff, the Ted Bundys and the Charles Mansons and the Ed Geins, and then looking into that and wondering like, what made these guys tick? What made them snap? And so, as I got older, and then I just started getting more into the horror genre. I discovered the Night of the Living Dead, and then Dawn of the Dead, and then I saw the sequel, the Night of the Dead sequels. I would say Night of the Living Dead 3 was to me, I thought at that time was probably one of the most extreme films I saw. If you ever watched that, it's the one with the girl, kind of like the I don't know, punk rock girl with the red hair, and then she dies and comes back as a zombie, and there's some wild like practical effects they do in that film. Obviously, I got into Friday the 13th, and then would watch the sequels. I remember Jason Goes to Hell, and I remember seeing that cover at Blockbuster Video, and then seeing it, and I'm thinking this has got to be like thinking, I don't know if I can handle this. Like it looked like it was going to be like, I thought the whole film was going to take place in hell, Now that is still like a guilty pleasure of mine. I know a lot of horror fans say that Jason Goes to Hell is where the is one of the worst sequels. It's actually one of my favorite sequels to watch. So yeah, Blockbuster Video played. You guys remember like the horror genre had some of the most amazing cover art, and so you would see this cover art on the shelf at Blockbuster, and you're just telling yourself like, bro, this movie looks dope, and you take it in, and sometimes they were, and sometimes they weren't. But yeah, I remember. Yeah, there was, and I got into the schlocky horror, like Pinocchio's Revenge, which I think is good. That's another underrated gem. You know, you can watch it for free on YouTube, I think. So they did stuff like so. I got into that. Um, I mean, you know, and then time goes on, and then I discover more. I get into the, I always love the slasher films. I really do like psychological horror films. Like another one I saw recently, me and my girl watched. It was called The Invitation. Really good. There was another one I watched called What You Wish For, which I highly recommend as well. And so yeah, not everything has to be ultra violent. I do like The Coffee Table. That's another good psychological horror film if you can deal with the subtitles and shit like that. But no, I do like it when you don't see what's going on, or everything that's happening might be gruesome, but it's being suggested more than you're seeing the actual graphic detail. Obviously, I got into the extreme horror. I got into the Cannibal Holocaust, and then and there's some of them that like that, and there's some of them that I'm not super into. Like I've watched them, but I've noticed, okay, this is just to push the envelope. This is just to shock. This is just schlocky shock, however you say it. But anyways, that's all I can really tell you. That's just how I got into horror, and yeah, I look. To me, it's a nice escape. But I just say when you look at the hell rate, you look at Pinhead, Michael Myers, and Jason, and Chucky, and Art the Clown, Captain Spaulding. You know what I mean? They're just entertaining characters, to say the least. So, but I don't know. That's the best I can say. That's how I got into the genre, and I think just morbid curiosity has kept me within that horror culture, and enjoying it, and being so, I don't know. It's a part of my life. It's a part of my personality too. Anyways, that's all I got. Later.